Hey there, I'm Gary Schuster. This is Innovation Cafe. Today, I want to talk about something really hard for inventors, and that is breaking up with your invention. I was on a call last week with an inventor, and we were talking about how this person would be able to sell the invention. And I was able to hook them up with a really excellent patent broker. And so I was on the call with all of them, and we ran into something that I've run into personally, which is, as an inventor, I love what I invent. I am very invested in it. It's something that came from me, that I created, and now I'm looking at giving it away. And that is not entirely unlike getting a divorce. It's also not entirely unlike watching your kids go away to college or move out or whatever they're going to do. And these aren't easy things. Now, I know what you're thinking, and I think it too, as a parent and as someone who's married, that, well, human beings are very, very different than a patent. They are and they aren't. We become very attached to things in the same way that we get attached to people. Different magnitude of attachment, but it's still the same concept. When I was in law school, one of the things that I learned that I thought was fascinating was a personality theory of property, which is, once you own a thing, it becomes more valuable to you than it really is. Patents are an incredible source of this phenomenon. As inventors, we birth these with our minds, and it's really hard when someone says, okay, now it's time to let go. So I thought it would be helpful to inventors who are looking to monetize their patents to go over some techniques that work in other contexts for learning to let go. Because in all seriousness, the inventor that I was working with, the outcome is still very much in the air. We're in the middle of doing this negotiation, but I have a fear that the inventor is going to have difficulty getting to the point where they are okay signing over the invention, even for more money than it's worth, because it's worth more to them. Let's go over some techniques that work in other contexts, and hopefully for those inventors out there who are lucky enough to be at a stage where they can sell their invention, this will provide some help and some basis to sort of do the breakup. So yes, this is a video about breaking up with your patent. And I know what the patent's going to say. It's going to say, it's not you, it's me, I'm really sorry. But no, it is you. It's the inventor who is overly attached to the patent. And I get it. I am very attached to all of mine. So this is letting go. How therapy techniques for divorce and similar situations can help you part with your patent and sell it. Parting with something you spent years creating can feel almost impossible. For many inventors, the invention is an extension of themselves. The idea of selling it, the idea even of licensing it to where it's no longer fully in your control, can be as daunting as navigating a divorce. These aren't going to be easy things to do, but I know it can be done. Here's the surprise. Techniques used in therapy to help people through a divorce can also help inventors get ready to sell their inventions. In divorce therapy, individuals learn to accept that letting go is a process. The same emotional work can apply to inventors. Whether you're preparing to license your technology, sell your rights, partner with another company, or even go to manufacturing and commit to one iteration of an invention that might not be the perfect iteration that you would have preferred to build if you had a bigger budget. All of those conditions involve some kind of loss of control over your invention. And that might have you feeling fear, uncertainty, and honestly, even grief. But there is a way through it. One of the first steps is acceptance. So just like in a divorce, you as an inventor need to accept that your invention might grow and evolve beyond your control. In fact, when you go into it, before you even come up with the invention, it should be with the understanding that you have an exit strategy. And the exit strategy almost always is going to involve giving up some level of control over your invention or possibly just selling it outright. It doesn't diminish your role as the creator. Instead, it's about giving your invention wings, giving your invention the chance to succeed in the world. Accepting that you won't have complete control can be really difficult, but it's necessary. A lot of inventors are afraid that selling or licensing their invention means giving up ownership in a really personal way. But letting go doesn't mean the end. It's the beginning of the next chapter of your patent's life. And because you're going to be compensated for it, a new chapter in your own life. Think of your invention as something you've nurtured. It's like a relationship or a child. But now it's time to let it thrive on its own, even if it means you are no longer in the driver's seat. So we're going to talk about one technique, which is cognitive restructuring. So this is a technique sometimes used in therapy that reframes how we view situations. In the case of an invention, instead of focusing on the fear of losing control, focus on the new opportunities your inventions will have in the hands of a larger company or some different entity that can do things with it that you can't. Also focus on the new opportunities you'll have. Once you sell your invention, you are very well positioned to go back, use that money, do a bunch more inventing, and get IP protection, and eventually have more patents to sell. It's, in a way, a necessary loss in order to move on and have the resources to do your next invention. So by shifting your mindset from I'm losing control of my invention to I'm opening up a world of possibilities, you can reduce your anxiety. So a therapist might say, ask yourself, what could your invention achieve with the resources, expertise, networks of a larger company? Reframe the situation and empower yourself to see the positive outcomes. And I know there's another piece for inventors, which is you feel like this is something you invented and you need credit for it. And trust me, I've been there, and it's one of the reasons I really hate non-disclosure agreements. Truly, you need them, don't get me wrong, sign those things, you need them to protect yourself. But after I do a patent deal, being unable to even say, I sold the patent to big corporation X and they built product Y with it is really frustrating. In a way, I think I would take less money when selling a patent if I could continue to talk about having come up with it and what it was like and who now owns it. But that's another piece of the loss of control that you have to deal with. Changing how you see the situation is always going to be the key. You're enabling yourself, you're enabling your patent to both reach their full potential. Now, another important technique is mindfulness and grounding. In therapy, these techniques help people manage overwhelming emotions by simply staying present. As an inventor, it is easy to feel overwhelmed by what ifs. What if they change my invention? What if the invention fails? What if I regret selling it? And in some cases, this is fairly reasonable. One really important thing to watch out for is what if you enter into a deal where your entire payment is back end, which is like in a movie where the stars get 2% of net revenue. Well, in those situations, there's something called Hollywood accounting where no movie ever makes money when the actors have a piece of the net. And this is a similar problem with patents, and it's called back end. And if you have a back end interest in the patent, you are relying on the person you're selling it to make enough money to pay you. That is a reasonable thing to be worried about. I don't advise entering into those deals unless you really, really know what you're doing. I mean, if you're sitting in front of the camera doing videos like this, even then, even if you know a bunch of stuff about patents, it's still a very risky venture. So the fact is you might somewhat regret the sale at some point. That would be because it didn't meet your exit strategy goals. So if you're regretting it because you only have back end and you never got paid the back end because they were never able to monetize it so that they made net revenue, allegedly, because you never really know for sure, that might be a problem. You do have to rethink how you approach this stuff now. Yes, structure the deal in a way that you are guaranteed the exit you wanted. So don't throw everything in the back end because it's sort of gambling. And if you're not into that kind of thing, it can be a problem. But once you structured the deal right, it's time to let go. So you'll take a moment and you'll breathe and you'll ground yourself in the present. You'll focus on what's happening now. You created something incredible enough that someone else wants to buy it and build it and make it a commercial success. That's not an ending. It's just the next step in the journey of your invention. Think of it again like the star of a movie. The star of the movie does a great performance and it gets put down onto film or digital recording, and then they lose control of what happens to that afterwards. It goes to a director who is going to make certain edits. It's going to go for distribution. The actor won't control where it's distributed to. But it is necessary, or else all that work they did acting is just going to sit on someone's computer somewhere and never be seen. Same thing with a patent. Yeah, it would be great to have control of your patent, except full, total control usually means that you are not monetizing it and no one's ever going to benefit from it. And when I say benefit, I mean not just you getting money for it, but I mean the end users of the technology won't have access to it. So you do have to learn to let go. Now, another technique is establishing some boundaries. In a divorce, it's really crucial to define clear boundaries, and that protects yourself emotionally. Similarly, when you are selling or licensing your invention, you need to set some boundaries about what's not negotiable. So an example might be, I've invented something that would be useful to a really evil company and a really good company. And I want to sell it to a company that's going to license probably to both of them. Well, I could, and it would reduce the sale value, but I could put a provision in there that says this patent can't be used in the following ways. And if they agree to it, then those limitations are in place. So you can set boundaries. Now, what aspects of your invention are you willing to compromise on? What has to remain intact? By defining those boundaries early on, you will feel more secure and confident when you're negotiating. It's about finding a balance between letting go and retaining your core values. So if I came up, for example, with a very amazing anesthetic that was able to put people out really efficiently, my core values might say this cannot be used to kill people via the death penalty. And so when I license it, that might be part of every licensing deal. This cannot be used for that purpose. Now, granted, the patent will one day expire. It may be used even pre-expiration in countries that aren't going to respect intellectual property rights, like North Korea. But at least you're exercising some control and you're helping follow some of your values. So remember, just like in a divorce, healthy boundaries allow both parties, and in this case, it's the inventor and the patent, to move forward with respect and clarity. You can let go without completely losing control. Now, letting go is never easy, whether it's a relationship or an invention. But by using techniques like cognitive restructuring, mindfulness, and setting boundaries, you can navigate some of the emotional challenges and hopefully embrace and take advantage of the opportunities it provides. All right, so really quick, one-on-one, inventor to inventor. I've been there. It sucks. You worked on this thing for years. You were brought to tears when the patent lawyer called you up and said, we got a notice of allowance your patent's going to issue. You had enormous dreams. Maybe you thought you'd build the next gigantic company around it. Maybe you thought it would revolutionize the world. Well, those things might still happen, but if you're at a point where you're running out of funding, if you're at a point where you can no longer create new inventions because the cost of trying to manage and market the old one is overwhelming, well, maybe it's time to exit that patent. And it's hard, and I'm sorry. So I feel your pain, but you have to feel it and move on yourself so you can get to your next great invention. If you're an inventor struggling with letting go, just remember, selling your invention is the start of your next invention. And that's the key here. You're an inventor. You're not going to take one product and live with it your whole life and center your life around it. You're an innovator. Every day, you want to create something new. Free yourself to do it. It's hard, but it can be done. If you like what we've had to say, go ahead, hit the like button, subscribe. Please comment. If you have been through this, I would love to hear from you. It's almost a form of therapy for me because I still miss some of the patterns that I had. I'm Gary Schuster. This has been Innovation Cafe. Stay creative and change the world. Catch you next time.